Hey guys, let me know if you're in chat whether you can hear me. Hey Kira, what's up? I'm just waiting here. A few minutes will give everyone a chance to join up. I'll probably get started here in about 2-3 minutes. It has been a long time. I think I end up streaming probably like twice a year. Hey Rizio, what's up? Welcome. Hey Trumpet. Filthy Tryhard, what's up? Nameless, what's up? Vale, how's it going? Jenny, Wrestling. Mel on the Gray, is that a reference to Gandalf in the Speak Friend and Enter? I just got a doormat for my house that reads that. Potato Man, glorious. Welcome everyone. It's going pretty well. It's more invasion analysis, but there's a handful of duels I know that people sent, so we'll probably get into some of that. Frosty. And well, Vale, I don't know that I would have a whole lot to add for any of your play. It'd be more like just showing the video and saying do more of that. You've been super busy with work. Yeah, me too, actually. Hey, Limits, what's up? I was actually really looking forward to doing this. Just taking a break from reality for a while and talking about Dark Souls. CRISPR, what's up? So obviously a lot of names I recognize already. Some of the names that I didn't previously recognize, I recognize now because I know you guys sent clips in. I have a ton of clips. I probably, in fact, I'm sure I will not get to all of them. I'm going to get to as many as I can. And then I'm thinking for those that I don't get to, depending on how this goes, I may well choose to do a follow up. In which case, I'll prioritize ones that you guys have already sent in over ones that may get sent to me after this. Obviously, never done this before, so we'll have to kind of see how it goes. Yeah, absolutely. You can submit during the stream. I have what I did was so I had all the emails in my inbox, and my initial thought was I'm just gonna go in blind. I'm just gonna start watching these clips with you guys, and so my first reaction will be kind of the same as yours. I'll be seeing them for the first time, and I started to get a little paranoid, and I thought, well, God, what if somebody did something nasty like snuck some porn into the middle of one of their clips, from a name I didn't recognize. And the more I thought about it, the more worried I got. So I started going through a whole bunch of them and setting them aside. But what I found was everyone I watched, I was going to include in the stream. So I'll start with that first group that I've already been through, and then I'll move on to the ones I haven't yet seen. You almost forgot about my stream. WL, thanks for the raid, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And would have sent Invasion, but it was so long that it was boring. Yeah, and actually, I have to say, I was really, really pleasantly surprised. The people that sent in Invasion clips, they were like almost all of like a reasonable length. They were good invasions. Like, so it was great. I got a ton of great clips. When I've made announcements about the invasion analysis YouTube clips, I get a pretty good response, but it was nothing like the response I got for this stream. Like, I got probably 10 times the number of clips that I would normally get. Just an insane amount. How do you send? Just send a link, preferably. Like the best way to do it is via an unlisted YouTube video, or it can be listed. Obviously, that's up to you. But failing that, you can also like attach an MP4 and send it to my Gmail account. I can look at them that way too. But it's here. Let me just put the email address in chat. Now, one thing I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll have to see how this goes. I'm going to be doing a bit of juggling because I don't want to expose anyone's private information, like your email addresses and whatnot. So I've got the source for everything off on one monitor. I'm going to be streaming from the other, and so I'll be kind of copying and pasting between them. And for that reason, I'm probably not going to be showing builds unless you guys really want to see them and tell me if that's the case. Otherwise, it's just I'm worried about exposing somebody's personal information that they don't want exposed. So I'll probably just show the clips. But again, if somebody wants to see a build or if we think it's really important, let me know and I'm happy to dig it up if they included it. Hey, old thief. Nobody, what's up? What are my PC specs? So I've got a pretty rockin' setup right now. I've got two monitors. One's a Dell 27-inch, and I'm trying to remember, it's like their high-end line. I spent a lot of money on it when it came out, but unfortunately it has a bit of render latency. So then I went and I got another monitor, a 32-inch. Both are 2560 by 1440, is that right? I think that's right. 2560 by whatever it is. And then the PC itself, I've got I think it's the GFX 1660 or GTX 1660, the NVIDIA. And then I've got the, what's the name of the PC or the CPU? The CPU is slipping my mind at the moment, but it's a reasonable, like midline. It's not an Intel though. Like a professional lawyer. Well, it's funny actually because I went from streaming actually made me a lot better at my job and vice versa. They actually feed into each other a lot, like way more than I ever would have expected. And streams 2 times a year. Exactly. Twice a year is pretty much, well, and it's funny because it's the only way I can find the uninterrupted time where I can plan out and say, hey, 2-3 hours, nobody can interrupt me. Nobody needs anything from me, and that's a pretty difficult time for me to find these days. Yes, a Ryzen. That is what it is. Thank you. Ryzen 5 3600 or 360, something like that. A couple years old now, but it works pretty well. I'm thinking I'll probably get Elden Ring for both PC and PS5. I got a PS5. My wife got it for me for my birthday like a week ago. I just got it all set up. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I may do some invasions on PS5. What's my job? No, I don't mind you asking. I'm not going to go into too much detail just because I don't want anyone to find me. But I work in technology. Hey, Constant, what's up? All right, looks like we got tons. Can you send the build in the clip though? Oh, you can send the build in the clip though. Yes, you can either like show your stats in the clip, or you can send it as like a Souls Planner link. I actually originally asked for Souls Planner links, but now I'm probably not going to use them. You're going to find me. Somebody actually did already. I'm not going to say anything more about it than that, but we'll just say that it has happened. What's up, Breadstock? Yeah, I think so too, Limits. I'm really looking forward to Elden Ring. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Guys, let me know how like the volume is. Hang on, let me let my dog out of here. One sec. Okay, come on, Alice. Doxing over DS3. I know. No, I know you were joking. No harm done. Just funny that somebody had actually done it. Okay. All right. Let me jump in here. So let me know how the sound levels are, guys. If like the mic, The game audio I don't think is terribly important, but if it's drowning my voice out, let me know. Yeah, actually, I have two dogs. So my wife is intimately involved with dogs. So I have two dogs, I have two cats, and I have five ducks. And I've had many other dogs and cats and rescues and fosters. So there are definitely always a lot of animals around. I did say five ducks. Yes, Frost. Yes, I have five ducks. They're actually out on our porch right now hanging out because it's raining. And so they're like fishing in the water for insects. It's pretty funny. It is fun. They're pretty hilarious actually. I'm not too involved in like duck management. That's more my wife's department. We had kind of a truce where she got to get more ducks, and I essentially said, "Hey, that's fine. I just don't want to be involved with like duck maintenance and like feeding of ducks and like letting them out of their shelter and then putting them in their shelter at night, and I just have enough problems that I have to deal with." Exactly. My wife is in charge of duck management, not me. Although I do occasionally get roped into duck management too. Okay. All right. So this one is from Dogger X. I actually have not watched this one yet because this one was the next one I was going to watch right before I got started. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. So I've never played with the Great Lance before. It seems like a fun weapon, kind of tough to use. The tracking doesn't seem all that great, except maybe from like the R2s. I'm not an expert on Great Lance by any stretch of the imagination. I know you can bait parries with it. I think like the fully charged R2s I think is unparryable, or it might be the weapon art. I don't remember which one. I think it's the R2. Yeah, actually, I got a lot of emails from people WL that had their real name and their email address, but obviously, I'm not going to reveal that. Your secret is safe with me. So I like the whip here. Turn this down. I like the whip as kind of an opening just because of the enormous reach that it has, and you can kind of stun the entire party. Obviously, I see right there a lot of people use like Dragon Slayer Great Axe weapon art or Lidos. I think most hosts are pretty wary at this point coming through there. They know they're about to get put in the grinder. Man, two casters in the back, Lidos up front. I don't know if that was a panic roll there or if maybe that was a queued roll. Actually, we're going to talk about queued rolls. I had a number of questions about queued rolls in the in submissions that people sent me. Yeah, you almost have to panic roll through there. I know a lot of times G9 will swap to a dagger and quick step through there just because the risk of getting plunged is so high. I think it was smart not to stop and heal there. I think it was smart to just keep moving. Somebody else sent a submission where they did not keep going. They stopped and healed and they paid for it. So one thing that like I personally have sucked at, I'm not sure I would put tears on right there. I'd be worried about getting plunged. But one thing that I've been working on is the hard swapping to cat ring, so you're not constantly having to have it as a ring source taken up. And if you're like me and it's a skill that maybe you don't have yet and you're developing, you just have to kind of commit to it, and it just sucks because yeah, you're gonna screw up the swap a lot and you're gonna take shit tons of damage, but that's the only way that you're actually gonna get good at it. And I finally resigned myself to that, and suddenly I started getting a lot better at it, where now I can actually get the hard swap off quite a bit. Yeah, you gotta watch like those charged attacks like that when people are up close, because people can like on reaction trade into that, especially with something like Lidos. They're gonna be looking for trades like that. This is the stream, Orphan Cat. Yeah, this is not me playing. We're watching Dogger right now. And what I'm going to do, guys, by the way, a number of you gave me like clips to your YouTube channels and your Twitch channels. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a VOD from this, and I may even condense it a bit, and I'll put links to everybody's like YouTube and Twitch there, so everybody can see like who's who and find your stuff. You thought this was 22 hours from now? And like the time changes and stuff, it gets kind of difficult to keep track of sometimes. I was actually thinking about trying to find like a time zone converter where I could post the link to like the time it was my time zone and then have it automatically convert for you guys, but I forgot to do it. Ghost Girl Blues, thank you for the raid. I really appreciate it. And I know I've got one of your clips coming up here in a little while. Time isn't real. It's midnight for you. Damn, where are you? Like Australia? Purples leave after they get one shackle, yes, but in order to get that, I think the rule, they either have to kill like essentially all the phantoms, or at least as many phantoms as were there when they spawned, or the host. Ooh, it's lucky that you interrupted that weapon right there. You would have eaten that. That was a risky decision. I'm not... Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. That was a risky decision, but I think given the fact that you were out of Estus, that was probably the right call. I thought you had that outspaced. It looks like you probably thought the same. I mean, you're out of Estus. Not much that you could do there. Alright, I'm actually not going to show the second clip here just because I want to get through as many of these as I can. So just bear with me once and you guys can see how many poker videos I watch. To send clips, does it have to be on the YouTube channel? No, it does not. You can send me MP4s as well. Send them to me however you want. Just send them to my email address. Oh, you're in Malaysia? Okay, yeah. At least I'm geographically in the vicinity. Yeah, Crumpet, it's not just one phantom. It depends on how many are there when you spawn. But I stopped doing purple invasions because I always hated killing the phantoms and then it's like getting through all the appetizers and the entree and then you're ready to get dessert and then you get sent home. Although I've had some funny clips where like just as I'm fading out, I'm able to finish off the host, which is kind of funny. Okay, let's bring up another clip. Okay. And some of you guys sent like some things you wanted me to be aware of, so I may read some of this. This one comes from Levin. Said, I want to improve specifically with faster weapons, PKCS to be more specific, but any criticism is welcome. All right. Okay, I think some build info. All right, let's get into this. So we're obviously in the woods here. Sounds like, oh, we've got audio, okay. Well, if you had caught that, you could have gotten a free BS there on his buff. Nice spacing there after the 4th R1. Nice. So one thing you're going to hear me say a lot probably today is when you've got a fast weapon like this, like a PK, and I'm not even saying right now is the appropriate time because there's only been a couple times where it would have been appropriate, but if you've got somebody that's going to contest and they know like, hey, I don't want to panic roll against PK, there's a couple adaptations that you can make. Unfortunately, this watchdog is not cooperating. That's really frustrating. But anyway, if you've got somebody that's going to contest and not just blindly panic roll every time you hit them, a couple L1 waggles are just what the doctor ordered. Even people that don't panic roll, like almost nobody can avoid panic rolling those. In fact, one of the only players I know that can do that, I'm sure there's others. I don't mean to suggest that he is the only one, but one of the only ones I know of, G is super good at not just rolling PK more generally, but not falling for those baits. He's really, really good at it. You got to go nameless. If your clip got analyzed, yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure I'll be able to put like timestamps, but I'll definitely have everybody's name in the VOD that I pull over to YouTube, so you won't miss anything. Oh, that's really fun. A laggy watchdog who's attacking you. Nice, nice, nice. That kind of backstab when somebody's rolling away from you, if you think they're going to stop rolling or they're going to turn around, you can get the BS when they stand up. You won't get it most of the time, but it's worth going for a lot, especially against like mid skill level players, because they won't just keep spamming roll. They're gonna know, they're gonna eventually check, like turn around and try to attack you to get you off of them. And like mid level players, like in terms of ability, can sometimes be predictable about that. Like every time, like the second panic roll, they realize like, oh shit, I should stop panic rolling. They'll turn, and if you catch them coming out of the roll there, you'll be good. I actually think I fought this host before. He like ganks with blues. If this is PC. Oh yeah, of course it's PC. It's got blue sentinels in the corner. So to me, the real value of PK is when you're like bearing down on a single player. Like it's good in group fights too, but where it really shines is against one player. And one thing where it sucks is it sucks for chase down. Even though the running attack is really good and catching people with a surprise running attack, oh, that sucks. You should have been able to interrupt that. Oh my god. And you know, it's funny, if this is the same host that I'm thinking it is, this is exactly what happened to me too, where I was getting chased down by two watchdogs and the host. It was so annoying. I assume that was some weight management there where you swap the gauntlets. Unfortunately, this is a reality of the woods, man. It's so annoying with these watchdogs. I shouldn't be too irritated. They're just inexperienced. And by the way, when somebody's doing really predictable running attacks with an ultra like that, it's a good opportunity to go for a pivot backstab. Now, he's really latent, so might not be the best time. Or you could go for roll backstabs and even roll on prediction of the running attack. It doesn't have to be on reaction. I actually personally think the curved greatsword is a bad matchup for you right here in general, because he's probably going to outpoise you with fume. So it just essentially turns it into like a slower straight sword, assuming that he does outpoise you, which I think he does. I would probably go with like a straight sword, or I would have stuck with the PK. Nice, that was smart to do that rolling attack, and that was an earn point down right there. God, that's annoying. Hard swap to Gundyr, yeah. Hard swap to Gundyr is like almost always a good choice. Like, it's really amazing how effective hard swapping to Gundyr's really is. Damn, that backstab damage, that was awesome. He deserved that too. But yeah, hard swap, like once I started hard swapping to Gundyr, I could not believe how effective that is. Like, so insanely effective. But you've got to pick your spots, you know? You can't just, like, I sometimes see people commenting on G9's videos that he, quote, spams Gundyr. Mind your rolls there a little bit. It looks like you were too much anticipating his attacks, and that's going to set you up for getting roll caught. And rolling into him like that, like I already saw him going for a pivot BS. If you roll into your opponent like that, you're going to open yourself up to getting backstabbed. So that's something to watch out for. Yeah, I would exercise caution about that. You're probably better off rolling away and then trying to bait whiffs that you can come in and then start bringing pressure. Just rolling into a spear like that is going to eventually get you backstabbed. And it looked like he actually went for a BS right there. So something to keep in mind. But thanks for sending this in. All right, let's get the next clip here. And now you get destroyed. It's okay, man. I mean, we've all got to learn. We've all got to get better. Like you watch my clips from even just like 2 years ago, and I wasn't anywhere near as good as I am now. And I still have a lot to learn. I'm still getting better. I watch people better than me stream, and I learn things from them constantly. So that's just part of it. All right. This one is from an old friend of mine, iRox. Let's see here. Okay, so in his feedback, he said something about having Siegs hotbarred, like he had just started using Siegs, so he didn't have them hotbarred. Not a big deal, obviously. Hey Jane, what's up? Mace is a bad weapon. I don't know. I like mace in certain circumstances. It can be useful. It seems like it has a lot of active frames. Like it seems like it roll catches really really well, which makes me think that it has generous active frames. But I don't know that for sure. You can start really mixing people up, and if you have a lot of poise with a mace, it can be difficult to approach, especially if the other person is cautious about their spacing. So this is just a bad situation right here. Like, I don't think I would have started, maybe swung once there and then gotten away. And now you got to worry about getting plunged. You got the whole gank around you. You got the other red swinging. That is nasty. And right here, this is something that I have to work on too. Work on getting your camera rotated around as quickly as you can. Getting that camera turned around means you don't have to like try to guess with your rolls. You can reaction roll. So even if you're somebody that looks over your shoulder a lot, just focus on getting the camera turned around more quickly. And I say this because it's something I'm working on too. Like I don't always get my camera rotated as quickly as I should. That weapon art right there, I think it really worked out for you, but I would be really cautious about using that there just because it's so easy to backstab. It's got a lot of recovery. When you've got 3-4 players around you, all it takes is one of them to read what you're doing and you're gonna get backstabbed. I like coming out here and trying to bait people. Same feedback I gave to other players. Think about hard swapping the cat ring, and even if you're not gonna like hard swap in the air, keep the cat ring off until you get into like this room and then put it on. Any little edge you can give yourself with your rings. You could be wearing the sword ring, the shield ring, the life ring, hornet ring. There's tons of other rings that could be adding more value. I think getting out of there was the right call. Yes, CRISPR, I agree. Don't be afraid to get out of action and get your head and inventory together. Completely agree. I know I keep bringing up G9's name, but it's because he does so many things so well. He's always very disciplined. Many times he'll have a phantom on the ropes and he'll leave because he knows he can get him another time, but the blender is always your greatest fear. So minimizing your exposure to the blender has always got to be one of your top priorities. I like the swap over to the Estus ring. That's something I don't do often enough and I need to fix. That adds a lot of value over the course of an invasion. It's like another free Estus. Good camera rotation there to avoid panic rolling there after you got surprise hit. That's tough to do. Medium shield parries, I pretty much, unless the circumstances are really favorable, I pretty much won't medium shield parry, just because even if you have the read perfect, even if you have a read on the latency, you know exactly what's coming, the chances are still too good that you're going to whiff it. There's just not enough frames. Yep, that's another good call about the BKS. Like, and then you won't be tempted by the parry, because that's the problem I have. If I have a parry tool out, even if I didn't take it out to get parries, I'll start going for parries just because I can, and then I'll end up getting crushed. But yeah, the weapon art definitely opens up a lot of opportunities with BKS. I think he just escaped a true combo there. Nice way to avoid the panic roll there. That's not easy to do when you've got like 3 people closing in around you. I like using the bombs. I would have tried to throw to the Phantoms on the right though in hopes of stun locking one of them into the Herald. Yeah, I also, guys, I like to keep a lot of different shields on me for different circumstances. I started using the weapon art shield, like the warrior shield I think that G uses. Because of its lightweight, you can put regen on it, you get weapon art, so when you hard swap, you don't have to worry about whether you're one or two-handing. Herald's again coming to the rescue. Nice. That's awesome. Thanks for sending this in, Irox. Alright. Okay, so this one's interesting. This one's actually a duel. I was watching a little bit of this one earlier. So he said, read the description. So basically this player that we're fighting against here is kind of helping the host here like get better at fighting. So he's trying to teach him different things like roll backstabs and whatnot. And I'm going to bring up a couple points here. So he's playing S-Stock against you. You might think about a shield. Now, he goes for a lot of really predictable roll catches, but it's also because you're panic rolling too much. And I understand why, you know, when somebody's in your face with an S-Stock, and these guys were healing by consent, so it's not like he's healing during a duel, but when you've got somebody that wants to get in your face like that and just keep mixing you up, first of all, his mix-ups are predictable, but it's because your play is predictable. It looked like he was going to go for maybe a hard swap parry there, okay. Unlock Gundyr there because you have the parry tool out. Anyway, when somebody goes for really predictable roll catches like that and you've got a parry tool out, don't be afraid to throw a parry out and punish them. So he's bringing a lot of pressure on you with that S-Stock. Yeah, he's got your roll timing really predicted. You got to start, you know, delaying it. Now he's also spamming sometimes, which makes it difficult to get a read on what you should be doing. But when you're feeling pressure, rather than rolling to get away, try sprinting away. It's a much better way, better thing to do. But he's putting you under so much pressure, and then you're whiffing. You see, he was going to run away there. That's the kind of thing that you want to be doing. That was a good roll. That was a nicely timed roll. What you want to be doing here, though, is you want to bait him into whiffing. So you want to like move into his space as if you're going to attack. And you see he attacked out a hit stun there because he knows you're only going to swing twice. Your opponent's doing, I don't know who your opponent is, but your opponent's doing a really good job of punishing your rolls, of punishing your move-ins. But you want to be feigning as you move in. Like you don't want to just walk up and attack somebody. You want to like move up and then move out. You know, like feint your move-ins and force them to whiff. And then once they start whiffing, you can whiff punish them, even on prediction, because that stock's too fast to punish on reaction, but you can punish it by prediction. So you basically bait your opponent into whiffing. The other thing is, because your opponent knows you're only going to swing twice because you're afraid, presumably, of a parry swap, he's able to attack out of hit stun, which gives him another advantage. So he's putting a shit ton of pressure on you with this S stock, and this is not an easy situation to deal with. This takes a fair bit of experience and practice, but like, just working on feigning some of your attacks, I think, is a good starting place. Nice. That was a great sequence of attacks from you there. Nice mix-ups. Okay, there you go. That was a good whiff punish right there. That's what you want to be looking for. Because your opponent is being really aggressive when you get close, and players like that, you can bait them into whiffs. He predicted your timing there. He predicted the delay. If you've got S stock and straight sword, what you can do is you can go S stock, straight sword, and then go immediately to S stock again. And it's not a true combo. They can roll out, but if they're waiting for the hit stun to end and go for a parry, they won't be able to get it. You'll get the attack off before they have the time to parry. So you can S stock, straight sword, S stock, straight sword, and I think they can still escape after the third move, which is the second S stock. Off stock L2 combos into R2 with straight sword. I don't think I knew that. Yeah, and that's true, CRISPR. You cannot keep the pressure up as well. It can be useful sometimes. Like sometimes what I'll do against like a better opponent is I'll S stock and then charged R2, like really hold it for a while. So against a really capable opponent, like your opponent is clearly capable, let me pause this for a second. Against a really capable opponent like this, you're going to have to take some chances. And what I mean by that is you can't let your opponent sit and rely on the fact that you're never going to swing 3 times, right? Like he can't go for parries every time because it's a losing strategy. So what you do is you go for thirds, you spam straight sword often enough to make him respect it, and let him feel like he can't just attack out of hit stun blindly, but not so often that it becomes profitable for him to go for parries after your second R1. You want to like your opponent did a fantastic job of using mixed strategies where he was sometimes kept spamming with the S stock to catch you if you were trying to wait and reaction roll a third attack, and then waiting to catch your rolls, getting in your face and pressuring you and forcing you to make mistakes. That's exactly the type of thing you want to do. So thanks a lot for sending this in. I think that hopefully, like, especially newer players see this. Somebody with an S stock can bring a tremendous amount of pressure to bear. I use it all the time with my off stock, and using that setup has taught me a lot. So just keep at this, man. I think you're going to learn a lot, especially having a friend like that that's willing to teach you and spend time with you. That just really helps a lot. Hey, Dogger, yeah, you did miss it. It was the very first one I did, but yes, the VOD will be available. I will export it, and it will be up on YouTube. Yeah, okay, cool. That's cool, Trump. I'm glad to see that he was giving you the same advice, and yes, I agree. And you can also unlock if you're worried, right? And unlocking serves 2 purposes. One, if he parries, they're likely to whiff it. And even if they don't parry, they're going to see that you unlocked it, and that's going to make them much more wary of going for a parry. It's going to lower the returns to parrying, make it more costly, make them way less likely to go for it. I do like the fact, though, that if you R1 and then you waited, you didn't wait too long, and that can be good. And just varying that amount of time that you wait. I know Skitter, I don't know if you guys know Skitter, he had a really popular YouTube channel. He stopped uploading a number of years ago, but he actually, one of his first videos was him invading Stray Curtis. And Stray Curtis made the read because Skitter was like R1, wait, R1, designed to avoid somebody parrying out a hit stun, but Skitter being a capable, I'm sorry, not Skitter, but Stray Curtis being a capable opponent, read that and was able to predict that Skitter would do it again, which he did, and he got parried. So, varying those timings. One of the videos I'm actually working on right now is around this very topic, so stay tuned for that. Skitter said G. Yes. Hey, Conan, what's up? Hey, fella, what's up? Welcome. All right, let's get to the next clip here. All right, so this clip is from a Twitch streamer by the name of Lorem. And again, I'll have links to everybody's content here available in the VOD export. So I like what you do here, running down to the bottom here to get an idea of what you're up against. And sometimes the ghosts here at the bonfire confuse me, and I think they're real players. But it did look like there was one other player down there. So I like how you're being unlocked and kind of rotating your camera around, and just in fact, G9 did a commentary video, I think yesterday or maybe it was even this morning, where he talked about just stopping and looking around, and I completely agree. In fact, we're going to see a clip in a little bit that's going to show what happens when you spawn in and you don't take a look around and what the consequences can be. It looks like you're light rolling, so you're going to take a lot of damage, obviously. Light roll is an interesting trade-off. So if you're going to use a curved sword, I would say you almost always want to use it two-handed. I understand this guy's using the weapon art charge, but if that's the case and you want to get a parry and you don't want a hard swap, I would go to like a straight sword or something if you're going to keep the Cestus out. The one-handed curved sword moveset just is really not very good. Now there's exceptions, like off stock plus main hand one-hand curved sword is really good because it gives you a lot of options out of neutral for aggression because the running attack is so good. These guys seem to be PvEers. He's not, like, even PvEers these days are mostly aware of the risk of charge attacks getting parried. And that was a nice read. That was a really nice read against that Phantom, to know that he was gonna, the way he was standing there made it pretty apparent that he would go for a parry with his medium shield. So that was a nice punish. That was also a nice read. The running R1 into standing R1, or the rolling R1 into standing R1. That's a classic. That's a great parry read. Nice job, Lorem. All right. One-handed light, CS has a faster kick. Yes, that is a very good point. I actually only learned that a couple of months ago, where I was just screwing around and I realized that the one-handed curved sword kick is so much faster than the two-handed one. Yeah, the one-shot backstab. Yeah, the kick from curved swords, the only time I use it is like R1, R1, and then kick to avoid like an out-of-hit stun parry, which is effective, I would say, like, assuming your opponent always parries out of hit stun. If you use the kick R1 after two R1s, you'll avoid the parry like 98% of the time, but you will still get caught some minor percentage of the time. So if you know your opponent's going to parry, then you're better off just waiting and then attacking rather than using the kick. You can also obviously use the kick to be flashy if you reverse it, because it has like infinite poise. So as long as you don't get interrupted like right in the startup, you cannot be interrupted. So somebody with like a big hyper armor weapon, you can bait them into trading with you, and you can kick behind them and go for a backstab, which is pretty flashy. If you trade with another, CS kick is a good option. That's a fair point. That is true. That's good. I agree. Get you priority. Hey, Lupine, what's up? And yeah, it is good for the reverse kickflip backstabs. So you can parry the kick. That is true, WL, but the timing of it is such that if somebody parries out a hit stun expecting a third R1 and they get the kick instead, they'll almost always whiff it. Not quite always, but almost always. Kick on wake. That's actually a good idea. I think that's a smart idea. Breaking tears. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So those are some good tips. Curved swords do get shit damage on BS. That is true. R8 does RHH combo into CS kick? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. What's RHH? Yeah, I'd say. Oh yeah, red hilted halberd. I don't know. Like G1370 could probably tell you. He rocks. I think offhanded red hilted halberd with main hand curve sword. Yeah, red hilted combos into everything. Isn't that the truth? So much hits done. The combo stick. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, the offhanded halberd, I was using that for a while as a spear. I really dug using that. And putting your opponent into lengthy hit stun can force them to panic more. All right, let's go to the next clip here. All right, so let me quickly read what this player had to say. First time submitter, I'm pretty new to Dark Souls and have only recently started getting into the PvP. That's awesome. I love to see that. Anyway, the continues. I've been using an experimental bleed build for fun. Not the most optimal. That's fine though. My playstyle is very rustic, but I'd like to change that and get more advanced techniques into my game. Both of these clips involve taking on very passive players who refuse to fight any PvE, and I would love tips on dealing with these sorts of passive players as I run into them a lot. Yes, and as the game has aged, they've become increasingly common, and these are typically players, they're usually PvEers, but they're experienced PvEers in the sense that they've been playing the game for a long time, probably playing with their friend, they've gotten invaded enough over the years, they understand some of the basics, some of the mistakes not to make. And these passive players will often employ these really passive flanking strategies where they'll both stand there with their shield up and they'll just kind of keep moving away from you as you try to approach. And then the other player will move towards you, the one that you're not paying attention to. And it'd be really tough to deal with those players. I mean, that's why they do it, because it's such an effective strategy. I don't have any single tip for dealing with these guys. You can try to use parries because a lot of times when they come up on what they think is your blind side, they can become very predictable. So you can like unlock your camera, go after player one with like two straight sword R1s, which will block with his shield. But as you're R1 and you've got your camera over your shoulder and you're waiting for the approach of the other player who's going to try and flank you, and you can go for like parries. Just be careful because once you flash that parry once, they'll be really wary and they'll mix up their timing. So if you go for that strategy, try to make sure they've taken enough damage where the parry is actually going to kill them. So let me bring up this clip here. Lots of PC submissions I'm noticing. So the Warden Twin Blades buffed with bleed. I actually think that's kind of a cool build. So, okay, right here. You see the Phantom. Phantom's often one of these little cubbies. This is such like a classic ambush spot for hosts. So if I were you right here, I would not be trying to attack one Carlos. I would be backing up, unlocking, and looking around. Where's the host? You don't have eyes on the host. There could be other phantoms here. You don't know what's around. So you want to be really, really cautious here and avoid getting yourself put into the blender. Other thing is obviously you got the cat ring on. Swap that out for something else. Especially here, there's really no falls that are that massive where you really need the cat ring. If you can swap it when you fall from like the top level to the bottom level, you know, you'll save yourself like 150 HP. Also, if you're dropping onto the elevator, you might want it. But aside, it's not worth keeping on full time. Like, get away from using the full time cat ring, I would say. That's one of my first tips. So in terms of motivating passive parties, You've got one of the best tools right there. Unlocked crossbow with exploding bolts. Yeah, and here comes the shield, right? The great shield. That thing just has stability, so much stability. It's so frustrating to deal with players like that. Actually, let's go back here a second. I want to show something. So right here, your opponent's going to throw out two R1s, and what happens is you roll the first one. If you had predicted the second one, you could have been moving toward him and whiff punished him on the second one. I'll show you here. Actually, I'm even going to put this in like slow motion here. So watch what happens. You roll the first one. Now, if you started moving towards him right here, you'd have gotten a good whiff punish. But because you didn't move toward him and you started it too late, you weren't able to get the whiff punish there. That's just a little tip. Like when you start reading people like that better, you can start positioning yourself, anticipating, and then getting the predictive whiff punish. Where even if he doesn't swing, you'll probably just whiff your attack. But if he does swing, then you're going to be like perfectly spacing him, and you'll be able to whiff punish him. Nice. The status effect obviously helps a lot with shields, and I think backing off there was actually the right call. Even though you had the host like right at the edge, maybe you could have thrown a bomb if you had him equipped. But I think not chasing him down was probably the correct call. If I felt like I were in an invasion where I had almost no chance of winning it, then I might have taken the risk to go chase after the host, thinking I might not get another chance. But with these guys, you probably will. Yeah, man, these sorts of passive parties where they just lock themselves up, especially here, this room is really nasty. Yep, the unlock crossbow around the corner is a really good strategy. The only problem is you're going through your explosive bolts here pretty quickly. I'd have probably put more rouge on there first before I did that attack to try to get the bleed through the shield, because that way you can still apply pressure to him. Like a bandit knife too, either blood infused or you can put Carthus Rouge on it. That's another really good strategy. Daggers have a very favorable stamina expenditure to stamina damage ratio, so you can keep up. Because one of the problems with Great Shields is, in order to put enough pressure on their shield to where they have to lower their guard because their stamina gets decreased, your stamina too is too low then to do anything about it. But daggers don't have that problem, which is one of the reasons I like using daggers against Great Shields. No need to unlock for the expo bolts if they're standing still. That's actually a really good tip. Sometimes you can thread the needle and hit both players at the same time, kind of in between. I'm not very good with unlock crossbow. Like, I don't know if you guys know who Sabo is. He goes by Funsline on YouTube. That dude, outside of maybe Grim, I think has like the most lethal crossbow I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, see, the bleed there played perfectly. That was a really nice strategy. I think the bleed in that case actually worked out perfectly, and nice backstab there to finish it off. Yeah, so, but regarding passive players, I think you did about as well as you can. Using the crossbow is one of the best tools that you have. The other thing is the what's it called? The storyteller staff. The storyteller staff does poison damage. It fills up a room, and the poison damage from storyteller is higher than normal poison damage, which not a lot of people know. So you can actually get some pretty good damage off that. Now, depends on your opponents. Do they have moss? Do they know how big a threat it is? They may just be able to moss it off, in which case you're not really going to be able to apply too much pressure with it. But that's another tool. I like to have that on some of my builds, specifically for situations like this. with dodge build, can I dodge the Millwood? Yeah, don't make a dodge build. Crowned, you did not miss it. Use damage rings for crossbow. Every hit will do so much more damage. That's a really good point. Also, Leo ring is good. If you get a counter hit, you'll actually get counter hit damage with a crossbow, which then will be amplified by Leo. That's something else that you can do. Yeah, Sabo is nasty with that crossbow. Man, I see him just get these ridiculous shots with the crossbow. It's really impressive. All right, we're gonna jump into the next clip here. Okay, reading through the feedback here in the email. Okay, so this one is called Seated in Snowfield, and it looks like the player here is at 36 plus 2. Yeah, this is from Ghost Girl Blues. Okay, cool. Ghost Girl Blues actually has a cool Twitch stream. I'll have a link to it in the VOD when I export it. You guys should go check her out. I actually first ran into her. I was her spear. And she was fighting the spear over and over, I think, to get the Covenant item. So I had a whole bunch of fights with her. It was pretty cool. So with seeds these days, obviously seeds, they last, I think, like 40 seconds-ish. So good strategy, which you may be employing right here, is to go and sort of aggro all the PvE that you can find. It looks like that may be what you're doing here. Go and find all the PvE, create a big old hornet's nest, and then bring it over to the host. It does look like that is what you're doing here. That's great. And most hosts these days don't even use seeds because they can do so much more harm than good. So I like the strat here. Yep, okay, now the seed is ended. Another seed. Lovely. And a blue. But you know, when I see hosts like this, it usually means that they're just not comfortable with PvP. Nice unlocked into the blue to avoid parry spam. That's actually good R2 there from the blue, worried about the parry from you. I like that. That's smart. So, one thought here. You're obviously getting put into the grinder. Try to focus on rolling a little bit less here. I know when you don't have eyes on the crew, it can be a little challenging. But at this point, if I were you, I would be heading out into the lower half of the level. And the reason is, if it's a 3v1 with like summon phantoms, password summon phantoms, they're all mic'd up. They can all kind of agree to just wait. But with two blues, these blues aren't as invested in this invasion, and they want their Concord. They've got something else they probably want to get back to. So they're going to head further into the level. Even if the host doesn't want to, he's essentially going to get forced to do it by the fact that his blues are doing it. So the calculus changes a little bit when they're blues versus whether they're phantoms. Yeah, I would just say mind your rolls a little bit. The panic rolling will end up getting you caught out. Try to be a bit more disciplined and focused on your rolling. In an invasion, it can be harder to manage those sorts of things. You know, you don't see everybody at the same time. And when somebody goes for a jumping attack, that's a good opportunity to go for a roll BS. Something to keep in mind. So you're kind of circling him. A better approach might be to, like, instead of like just like what you're kind of just zoning, kind of run toward and away from him, which is gonna bait out whiffs that you can whiff punish. And right there, when he switched to the shield, it was pretty clear to me that it was to go for a parry attempt. So be mindful of that. You could have gone around for a backstab, and now I'll bet he's gonna go for another parry. I almost guarantee he's gonna go for another parry. Yep. Once they have success with it once, they're going to keep going back to the well. So you can use that to your advantage and run up as if to attack, and then just run around to his back and get a BS. I like the spam there, even in the excuse me, in the face of medium shield. But let's go back there for just a second. So nice use of the spam, but right here, look, he's at really low health. You're at almost full health. He wants to heal. He can only take 1 or 2 more attacks. So right here, you should not be giving him space. This is a great opportunity. Now you have your stamina's blown, which makes this a little bit more tricky, but you can just start walking toward him at least, even if you don't want to sprint. If you had full stamina, you could like sprint in there with your shield up to prevent him from counterattacking you very easily and manage turn and burns. But right here, you should be moving toward him. Don't give him free space to heal. You haven't gone for any parries yet. At this point, it'd probably be a good time to think about going for one. Especially like players like this, after they parry, if they whiff a parry, they're either going to roll or they're going to attack. One or the other. He was just too wedded to getting another parry on you. That's hilarious. The successful parry is actually what got him killed there. Nice job. Nice job, Ghost Girl. Wolfring adds a tiny bit of poise. Never sure how good it is. Well, what you can do, Ghost Girl, is you can look at poise breakpoints, like on Discord. You can see what the poise breakpoints are for the weapons you're using, and you can get an idea of whether the Wolfring is advantageous or not. Now, obviously, with like a straight sword, it's not going to do anything for you because it's not a poise weapon. But if you're using like a great sword or something, that can be a good idea. Yeah, and CRISPR is right, Ghost Girl. Don't roll away after every hit. That's a habit some of us developed. It's a habit I used to have. You're relinquishing pressure when you do that and increasing the risk of getting roll caught. So just try to focus on your rolls. And that's a big thing that you'll see a lot of improvement right away if you just pay a bit more attention to your rolling and try to only reaction roll. Now, obviously, when you're against a gank, you can't always see all your opponents, so you do sometimes have to make your best guess as to when you should panic roll, but it should be a conscious decision to do it, not just a reflex. Wolfring is bad unless you already have Havel, Fap, and Chain, because you can get the extra poise from your armor, you mean? That's a fair point, Chain. It's a very good point. You have to work. Well, Raze, thanks for stopping by. This will be a VOD, so you're welcome to check the rest of it out on YouTube, whenever you'd like. Yeah, you know what, Jenny? That's a really good point about Greatsword and poise, because I used to run a Greatsword build without very much poise, and truthfully, it was fine when I was playing lower tier players, but as I started getting better and playing better players, I realized that playing Greatsword without the requisite amount of poise is really a big mistake. Now, sometimes like at lower levels, it can't be helped, but definitely on a meta build, absolutely, you want to make sure you have that poise. That is a very good point, Fel, about roll poise. And actually, I don't think it's too minor. Like, I wouldn't use Wolfring for roll poise, but roll poise is actually, especially when you start playing really good like PK players, having adequate roll poise is really important, because otherwise you're just going to get put in mix-up city. And if they start stunning you out of every roll, because you are going to get roll caught, it's going to happen against somebody who's good with PK. It's going to happen. So being able to continue your roll and make distance and not let them just get in your face and start grinding you, that's really important. That's something that I learned from fighting the really good players. I used to not pay attention to poise at all on my non-poise builds, but now I do, and that's the main reason, so that I can continue to roll when I get roll caught. Hey, Jay Strife, am I going to make this a new thing with invasion analysis? I don't know. I'm going to kind of see how this goes. Like, I'm having fun right now. If you guys are enjoying it and getting something out of it, then for sure I'll continue to do it. I'm thinking at minimum I'm going to do one more, because I'm not going to get to all the clips today, unfortunately. Which kind of a good thing. Like, I'm glad to see so many people sending in clips, but I certainly won't have time to get to them all. Fat roll has a lot more poise than a fat roll meta. It messes up people's roll catch timing, though. It might actually be interesting to try like some sort of ring swap, like where you have Havels +3 and you swap it off, just to screw up people's timing. But actually, that probably wouldn't do anything. Schwa did send some clips. Yes, I'm going kind of in order. And I think Schwa's came in earlier, so I don't know if we'll get to Schwa's today. I'm hoping so, but I'm not totally sure. Yeah, I remember Silly had that Katarina build. Goof was actually the first one that I was aware of that did it, and it was really funny. You're really enjoying the format. Thanks. I appreciate that, Werewolf. And Jay Strife. Thanks, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab something to drink here. I'll be back in about 30 seconds. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Did your clips come through? Sorry, I already scrolled off. I didn't see who was asking. Clognog, no, I did not get to any of your clips yet, and welcome. Okay, thanks for the feedback on the audio, guys. Okay, let's head over to the next clip here. Okay, so I'm reading through this player's feedback. Okay, this came from Potato Man. He said he writes, I saw you're looking to get feedback on DS3 PvP, and I've just started getting into it. I've attached a few videos. This build is my first ever DS3 build and was never intended for PvP. I've started doing PvP over the last couple of weeks to grind for Covenant items, for trophies, but enjoying it, would like to improve. I'm on PS4. I've tried to choose some of the more interesting fights and not just ones where I win. Cool. All right. I lose a lot, and I don't really go into fights expecting to win, but I've tried to include the closest fights I've recorded for more interesting commentary. Okay, so this is awesome. I love to see people coming into Dark Souls 3 PvP that are newer. And I made this observation before, but when you're newer, getting feedback helps so much more, because there's a lot more low-hanging fruit. There's easy things you can fix. that will make you a much, much more efficient player. So let's start with this clip here. Sorry guys, I'm trying to do this on my other monitor to make sure I'm not going to accidentally open up somebody's email here. Okay, here we go. All right, so for a newer player, the parry shield is kind of an interesting choice. So one thing to keep in mind is that when you have a parry tool out, it changes the way people play against you. And if, like me, you always play with a parry tool, like that's how I used to play, it changes your opponent's play in ways you may not even notice until you put it away. And for that very reason, actually, let me stop there. I want to mention a couple things. So to finish that thought, you want to make sure play sometimes without a parry tool, because you'll see your opponents will play differently at you, and it's good to know what that's like. I did watch this clip a little bit earlier, and I don't recall that you were like parry happy. So it seems like you're disciplined with it, and that's great. But I want to focus on what you did here with your greatsword. So you whiff the R1, which is fine. And then, excuse me, and then you immediately go into a second R1. You really want to avoid doing that. You want to hit confirm. So if you hit the first R1, then go ahead with the subsequent R1. In general, if you whiff the first R1, do not go into a second R1 because it makes you predictable. People can outspace and whiff punish you, or they can go for backstabs. Like there's a whole bunch of bad things that can happen. Now, against normal like PvEers, will those bad things happen? Probably not. But it's good to get in the habit of just hit confirming and not continuing to swing. Now, you can continue to swing sometimes as like a mix-up, but you should be doing it consciously, not just through kind of force of habit. Like we just tend to fall into these habits of pressing R1 twice and then not a third time, or not pressing it just once. So be mindful of those things that you're doing, and don't give your opponents an opening. Spam can be a good mix-up, Clog, totally agree, but it should be as a mix-up. Yeah, the weapon arts on the Greatsword of Judgment there, which the host has, those have a lot of poise, as I recall, so you want to be careful you don't trade into those. And there, the Sunbro just did a running R1 into standing R1, and he did it one-handed. So you kind of file that away because that's an easy parry if he does it again. Obviously not two-handed. Same feedback I gave earlier. Watch your rolls a little bit. Try to avoid panic rolling as much as you can. And when people are running away from you, the Greatsword is about the last weapon you want to have. The running R1 is terrible for chase downs. So try to get in the habit maybe of hard swapping away, or even if you're not yet comfortable hard swapping, keep a lighter spear or katana that you can soft swap to. Those are good roll catches there, though. Yeah, so you're never gonna interrupt that. So when you see him gearing up for that, you want to make sure that you back off. And now there's two weapon arts. There's one where you get the projectile, and there's the other one where he thrusts. On the thrust weapon art, I believe you can parry that. And when he's got homing soul mass up, you probably don't want to try to engage him because the hit stun. That was a reasonable parry to go for, but the hit stun from homing soul mass can lock you in place, and then you can eat a bunch of damage. So Phantom died. We all know where he's going. He's heading back to resummon. This right here is the place where you want to swap over to a spear for sure. Now you've got the soft swaps straight sword, which isn't a bad choice, but a spear would be so much better. And if you're not used to chasing people down with a spear, give it a try. You will be amazed at how effective it is. And especially if your co-invader takes the clue and they start using a spear, even if they don't, because they've got a big old derpy ultra great sword, you can put that host under a lot of pressure. Let me stop here for a sec. The other thing is, he ran back here. We know he wants to resummon. So he's going to play very passively in an attempt to avoid getting hit by you guys, especially because you hit him with an Undead Hunter Charm, which I think was a good idea, but he's going to play passively. So greatswords are too easy to reaction roll. When somebody's playing passively like this, you want to bring the pressure. Don't let them just sit back and calmly reaction roll your attacks. He's not always reaction rolling, but he's trying to be evasive. He's not trying to attack. And when somebody's only focused on evasion, they're very hard to hit. So swapping to something like a curved sword, a dagger, even your straight sword would be a better choice. Put this guy under some heat. Don't let him resummon because he's just sitting here waiting for his buddy's sign to come up. You get a couple nice roll catches here, though. That was really nicely done. So even though obviously you had the great sword, you executed really well there at the end. So nice job. Nice job. Yeah, hey Mercy. Yeah, upload to YouTube is the best bet. You can upload it as an unlisted video if you want. Nobody will see it unless they have the link. So if you just send me the link, nobody else will have it. Yeah, plus 2 in the build is I'm glad you brought that up. That's probably too low, especially at soul level. I think you were like soul level 36. At 36 out of Prygon to +4. Now, the one benefit of +2 is you'll avoid a lot of the nastier ganks, but your opponents are probably at +3 at this point. So you can play around with it. Like one of the things I recommend if you're trying to find the sweet spot at low level is start at the lowest level, both in weapon reinforcement and soul level that you think you might want to use. And then you can save scum, right? Save that build off, upgrade it. And if you get better invasions, well, then you keep the build. And if not, you just revert to the old one. And you can kind of iterate through builds and figure out what, soul level and weapon reinforcement level is going to work best for you. Nameless, I don't think so. Not yet. Yeah, spear with an offhand, with a good offhand, is really versatile. I totally agree. That is another option. I know I used to get feedback about always using my spears only one-handed, and I got feedback that I should be using them two-handed, and they were right. Two-handed spear actually is quite a bit better. Plus, you can kind of waggle. Like if you look at the video that Mocha and I did a while back, where we were both chasing people down with spears. We're both like waggling, mixing up our timing, and that is really difficult for anybody to escape, regardless of how skilled they are. It's insanely tough. Could I pull up some people's souls planners? Talking about stats is helpful too. Hey, Irox. I don't know if you were here. I did hit your video a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if you were here in chat already. I can pull up the souls planners to talk through the builds if you'd like. For sure. And some quiet nerds, most people have Siegs and Divines. Yeah, especially on PC, that's true. So like the Undead Hunter Charms are of less value, but on PS4, especially if you're against like a PvEer, they're a lot less likely to have those things. That's a really good point, Fel, that even if they heal with a Sieg, you can out damage their heal much more easily. And I do think, meta Undead Hunter Charms aren't that valuable, but at lower levels, I think they are really valuable. On my spear build, I use them all the time. Like, they're insanely valuable there, especially because you can't heal. Yep, spear hand axe is friggin' awesome. Poison Rotten Grew two-handed. Hell yeah, that is a great choice. Totally agree. Totally agree. Bombs during chase downs, those are also really good, especially if you have a good co-invader, because they'll know to kind of get off to the side to open up a free lane for your fire bombs while they kind of chase down and try to take advantage of the hit stun. If you're by yourself, though, the bombs to me aren't quite as valuable because of how long it takes you to wind up and throw them. Definitely soul level 90 for Spears of the Church. So when you invade as a Covenant invasion, meaning the auto summon one, so Watchdogs, Aldrich, and Spears, there's a wider invasion soul level invasion range than like on a red eye orb invasion. So if you look at the calculator, what you'll see is soul level 90 spear can actually invade all the way up to, I think it's like 137, something like that. So you'll cover the widest range at soul level 90, and so that's where you'll get the most activity far and away. Good wake ups as a sorcerer. I don't know. Actually, I'm not a good sorcerer, so I don't have an answer to that, but that's a good question. Maybe like homing soul mass? I don't know. That might be a good one. Soul level 140 Aldrich can invade a level 200 host. Wow, that doesn't surprise me though. The range is really, really wide. Yep, and 80 can get to 120. I think that's right for the Covenant invasion ranges. Soul Greatsword is decent. It's got kind of like a delayed animation, so you can maybe get people and roll catch them. That's a really good point. Soul Arrow and Deep Solar Pressure rolls. That's another good point. With Unscaled, I can meet Soul Level 1 at 802. Man, Unscaleds, as bad as they are at meta, if you run into an Unscaled at like in the woods at Soul Level 40, they are almost impossible to kill. Even if you have them one-on-one and even if you outskill them, it's still really tough. Homing Soul Mass and then immediately Soul Greatsword. Yeah, I like that strategy. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, Affinity. That's a good point, Irox. I like Affinity as well. And you can use that like to get in somebody's face where they have to like roll the soul mass, which then opens them up to getting roll caught with like a S-Doc or something like that. I go plus 10. 100% I go plus 10 because you're going to match all the way down to plus 8. And at soul level 90, people are definitely going to be at plus 8, if not at plus 10 already. Two-handed Goddards. Yep, that's another really good point. Hey, Spectre, what's up, man? Welcome. Glad you showed up, Spectre. Maybe you'll learn how to PvP today. And obviously, I'm just kidding, Spectre. All right, let me grab the next clip here. All right. All right, CRISPR, I think you're up here. Hang on one second. All right, so let's look at the build first since I know people are asking about the builds. Here we go. Okay, so 125, and I'll kind of let you guys comment on this in chat because I don't usually have a lot of great feedback about the builds. Standard Dex build, lots of VIT on this build. I assume that's for heavy armor. Those are always interesting choices. I assume the attunements for tiers. Warrior round shield. Yep. Oh, I see. It's actually more of a quality build. 26 strength, 40 dex. Okay. 18 faith. I assume that's for the Filianor chime. Although you can always ring swap to save yourself some of the points there in faith if you want. But maybe you have another reason for 18 faith. I'm not sure. But usually when I see 18, it's for the chime. That's just something to keep in mind that you can swap the ring to save the points. All right, let's check out the clip here. Sounds like there's no audio on this. That's fine, though. It's funny how 14 attunement gives you like just enough FP where you can throw on tiers, and then you can also get some regen out of it before you have to chug the Ashen. So the Sword Spear is an interesting weapon. I really like this. I know Mook plays with the Sword Spear a lot. I used to play with it when I was newer. I'm not trying to imply like it's for a new player weapon. It's actually not. See, I like the aggression there. Even though it got you punished, I like the fact that you're like in this guy's face. There's a nice R2 there from your opponent. I'm already worried about this Aldrich. Another tip I would give, like for the newer players that are watching, you see how this player is playing very aggressively, and that was a good redirect there to avoid being outspaced. Um, Take notes. Like this is how you want to play. You want to be aggressive. Being aggressive is almost always the right call. And I see you're going for some pivots there, and it can be tough, honestly, to learn proper aggression. And if you start off playing aggression, those are good roles there too. If you start off, trying to be more aggressive, you'll make some mistakes, and it won't feel comfortable at first. But really, like cranking up the aggression is one thing that you should be doing to try to make yourself a better player, especially in invasions, right? Because the clock's always against you. Time favors the host. Host can resummon, host gets blues. So finishing off a host sooner rather than later is almost always to your benefit and justifies a certain amount of risk taking in the process. Now, one thing I'm noticing is you're treating this player almost like a PvEer, like you're rushing in to try to force panic rolls, which I think is almost always a good strategy. But this host has shown that he's not going to allow himself to be bullied like that. He's going to stand his ground, and you run up to try to get the mix up and the roll catch, but he's not rolling, which means you have to kind of change your strategy a little bit. Ooh, I saw the backstab coming there. Yeah, when you block with your weapon like that, that's always a risk. You're going to get guard busted sometimes. And, as long as you're cognizant of the risk, I think blocking two handed like that is worth the risk, especially against lighter weapons. Although in the days of the hard swap, you have to be even more cautious of something like that. Somebody suddenly has Gundyrs in your face. See, I see you making the adaptation. You're not going for mix-ups as much. You're just coming straight in and attacking, and I think that is absolutely the right adaptation. BKS, having the BKS, man, allows you... God, that is so annoying. Having the BKS allows you to bring in so much more, or allows you to withstand pressure and allows you to pressure your opponent. Like, when I go and I duel at Pontiff these days, and on PC, I find that the quality of opponent at Pontiff with their summon sign down is generally much higher than in the arena. So if that's where you're looking for good players, that's where you should go. But I find that playing against somebody with BKS, especially with a largely physical weapon, is really, really tough to do. Nice read there. Oh my god, this Aldrich is like annoying the shit out of me just watching this. This host is not giving up on you, man. That's smart, though. Good patience here to get away, get a clean heal off, get the Estus ring on, get the most benefit from your heal. I think that's really clever. That's really good. Avoiding the panic heal. That takes experience and discipline. Oh, hey, Buck, what's up? Yeah, and even if they're like going for the guard break specifically, even if they aren't, you're going to take a ton of damage, even if they don't get the riposte. But the hard swap meta has changed this game so much in how you have to approach people and how you have to play. I think it's so frustrating, man, having like an Aldrich like this that just spams spells without regard for his co-invader's safety. Like, honestly, if it were me, after I got hit by that second Crystal Soul Spear, I probably would have killed the Aldrich, or at least tried. And I'm not somebody that goes after my co-invaders very often, but that type of behavior, it has to have consequences. And the homing Soul Mass, like, come on, man. Using homing Soul Mass when you have co-invaders. Now, if it were only another Aldrich, it would have been fine, but with a red there, you're going to hit your red. You can't use spells like Homing Soul Mass. So this other Aldrich is using Black Flame, which is smart, but it looks like he doesn't have any decks and he's not using the Sage Ring, so it's too slow. It's got to be fast. Oh my god, man. Dude, this is just like an abject lesson in why co-invaders need to be careful. And you being a caster, you just can't be blindly casting shit like that with a co-invader around. It's like working me up into a lather just watching this. Nice read from that host. He almost got that backstab on that running attack. I like this host too. Yeah, the host is reading you pretty well, I gotta say. He's doing a good job. That shield though, man, it really helps you put on the pressure. Nice backstab there. Nice read. You're also doing a great job of managing your co-invader in the sense that you know it's like a bull in a china shop, but you're like being mindful of him. Now, obviously, I can't hear the audio. There's no audio on this, but you can also listen for his cast if he's doing something like CBV. I would say normally that parry would be a good idea, but this host is too cagey. Like if you had hard swapped, it probably would have been good, but you already had the shield out, I think, and he's gonna read that from like a mile away. Nice. I like the dagger. Man, this whole clip is just a case study in like bad co-invader behavior. Oh my god, man. I mean, hitting your co from time to time is going to happen. And sometimes it's justified. Like sometimes you're going to be able to get enough damage on like a host to put him away where hitting your co-invader even like deliberately is acceptable. But there's got to be thought put into it. Like I don't think you've hit your co-invaders a single time yet. Oof. It was a nice backstab. Man, that shield. A shield just lets you put up with so much pressure and just completely neutralize it. This is a tough invasion, man. You know, it's funny if you had had like some co-invaders that were more cautious. You know, you could have put this guy. They didn't. They wouldn't even have to be like good co-invaders. They just have to avoid hitting you and kind of pressure the host without dying right away. Curved sword's a good choice. And you can see the second the host doesn't have his BK anymore, suddenly now you're able to hit him a lot more. And he doesn't have the confidence to just stand in there with you because he doesn't have the shield anymore. I don't think you're using the Night Slayer ring, and I'm not saying you should always use it against BK. Yeah, that host is good. That was a good fight, man. I think you did about as well as you possibly could in that situation. I mean, your co-invaders just really kind of just ruined that fight for you. But that was a lot of fun to watch. Now you have another clip here. Oh, got the same host. Okay, cool. Hopefully, I get to see some revenge. The other thing I like about this host is even in a 3v1, he's not running away. Like, I can tell he's the type of player that would rather just eat the loss rather than, you know, play the runaway game, which I respect. I'd much rather fight a host doing survival like that than one that's just like, gonna run and fap spam to get away, which is a good strategy, but it just It's not as much fun. I'd rather just have fun, you know. Like I'd rather eat some extra losses and make it fun for everybody. Hey Slug, what's up? I should analyze some of my spear fight clips. Actually, I have a whole mess that I collected last year where some interesting things happened. I haven't done a spear like video in a long time, so I may break that out because there's some cool stuff I want to show off in there. I know I've talked about this in some of my videos, but what I found with my spear build is so good that as I got better as a player, having the ability to heal, it's frankly it's just like too overpowered. It's too powerful. And it wasn't challenging anymore. Not because I'm like some awesome player, but just the structure of the spear fight. You guys are all hitting each other now. Nice. I like the R1, wait for the roll catch, and then he's a good enough player that he's not going to do that again. So you did the staggered R1, which I thought was really smart. Anticipating what your opponent's going to do. I'm not going to turn this video into like a complaint about glitches or anything, but because the host can Estus cancel and because he has so many more resources than you, it makes it really tough to beat somebody like that. Even if they're not very good otherwise, and this guy is good. He delayed his roll there. That was smart. Tacked out a hit stun there. Read that you were going to keep attacking. Yeah, I really, really like this fight. This is really cool. It's fun watching two good players go at it. I like the patience there. This is definitely a player capable of like Estus canceling into hard swap to get a parry. I don't think I've seen him do it yet, but he's certainly capable of doing something like that. Smart. Yep. Reapplying tears is worth taking the time away to do that. I think that was a good move, man. Yeah, G9 does Estus cancel, remove weapon parry. Yep. I remember like when people first started Estus canceling. Host is in trouble now. When people first started Estus canceling, that was a good fight, man. That was really nicely done. When people first started Estus canceling, that was a really common bait. Estus cancel into parry. I used to get actually a lot of backstabs like that because I would read it. But now I feel like the new equilibrium has emerged and people will go for it sometimes, but not nearly as often as they used to. Thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing the email address. I appreciate that. You gonna send me some clips, Spectre, so I can give you some feedback on how to be a better Dark Souls 3 player? All right. That was a really good set of clips, CRISPR. Thanks for sending those in. That was great. Okay, so the next player up here, they're playing, they said, at a relatively low resolution. Sounds like their PC may not be as beefy as they would like. They sometimes get frame drops. And you say you're struggling with Estus backstabs, pivots, and you miss most rolling backstabs. Okay, well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. So I think this is soul level 19 plus 2. Nice read there. I like that. I like the way that you're delaying and mixing up the delay between your attacks. That's really good. That's great that you're doing that. On plunge attacks, not here, you probably don't have to worry about it, but one thing to worry about with plunge attacks is if your opponent knows it's coming, they can roll BS you. So that's just one thing to be wary of with plunge attacks. Nice anticipatory roll with your camera turning. This blue seems very confused. Nice redirect there. Nice redirect towards the host, anticipating that he would come in. I'm not sure I would have buffed right there. If he had been a bit more patient, the host could have backstabbed you out of that. Of course, backstabs at this level don't do much damage, but still is like just a general habit. It's not a good one. Respect to the blue there. He read the turn and burn and he was waiting for it. You've gotten roll caught a couple times by that ultra where you're rolling, I think, avoiding the host attack, and unfortunately, sometimes that can happen where you have literally no ability to roll without getting roll caught. I also like that you're mixing up attacking on a hit stun sometimes. Not always, not most of the time, but sometimes. I think that's very smart. This blue is confusing me because most of what he's doing seems kind of dumb, but he seems to have like these moments of brilliance that make him seem like he's experienced, and I don't know what to make of that. So you're using the rapier greatsword setup, which can be an effective setup. The thing with the rapier parries are actually, in my view, really hard to land. I much prefer to go with an S-stock and then swap over to the rapier, hard swap over if I think I can get a parry. But that's, you know, that's a personal and stylistic choice as much as anything. And this other blue's got the Dragon Slayer axe, which looks like he's about to be buffed with lightning, which is really nasty at this level. So he's clearly twinked to hell. Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of saw that parry coming. He'd already gone for a few, and he got the walk-up parry. But now he's going to be susceptible to getting backstabbed, because I guarantee he's going to go for another one the second you move into his face. Guarantee it. Next time you walk up, he's going to go for a parry. Guarantee it. Oh, no, I was wrong. Really surprised he did not go for it there. So one other thought here, you know, you can play the 3v1 here, but given how many of these guys there are, I would say moving further into the level would be the way to go. Again, same thing I said earlier.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yep. Yeah, I would move further afield into PvE. Another thing that inexperienced, like mid-level players will do is they'll start being very predictable with their roll catch timing, and you can use that to get a parry with like the rapier. That can be a good thing to think about going for. Oh my god, that blue is just doing shit tons of damage to you with that buff DSA. I'm not sure what happened to the other blue right there.
You stupid.
Yeah, the like low charged R2s against a parry spammer are bad because if they just try to parry you on reaction, if they parry on first movement, the timing will work out perfectly. So, in fact, I just stay away from R2s in general against parry spammers because if they just guess at the timing, the odds are too good that they'll get it right. That one you charged a bit longer, but then he was able to roll, so I would just stay away from the R2s. Kick is a smart move. I would also try to run around him and grab a backstab. At the very least, put it in his thought that it's something that you'll do. That's definitely something you want to add to your repertoire. And watch your rolls a bit more. I see, especially as the fights progressed, a couple cases you've panic rolled and you've gotten yourself roll caught. So you're paying attention to your roll timing. There, it looked like you were going for the backstab, which I think was smart. Nice. Hoisted by his own petard, as they say. Oh shit, I thought you killed him. Damn, that sucks, man. I thought he was dead. You probably did too. One other thing to try. Start your swing against people like this blue, from further away, like earlier. Because you almost seem like you're falling susceptible to something that happened to me. Where I would delay my swings, but then by delaying, I would end up delaying it right into their parry. So try to mix up like the distance at which you start swinging to avoid those kind of walk-up parries. L1 waggle a bit to throw their timing off. Go for backstabs. Those are the kinds of things you can do to punish players. Johnny! Okay, I assume you finished off the host there. Nice job there at the end. Way to hang in there. I would say just in summary, watch the rolling a bit more, and then when you're up against a parry spammer, mix in going for backstabs, L1 waggles, adjusting the distance from your opponent that you're swinging at. Because not only was he parrying, but he wasn't getting punished for any of his whiffs. So you want to make them pay. Make sure that if they're going to be wedded to that parry lifestyle, that they're going to pay for their whiffs. And then that'll has two benefits. You obviously do damage, and you get them to stop, parry spamming so much. Clognug, you're starting to think maybe you should have sent gank fights rather than 1v1s. I don't think so. I think a mix-up here is good. And for what it's worth, guys, my intent is to show like at least one clip from everyone that sent stuff in. There's been like one or two exceptions, but I've already sent emails to those people to let them know that, for a variety of reasons, I would not show their footage. But otherwise, I intend to get to everybody eventually. Pivot backstabs are a pain to learn, but they're so worth the time. Completely agree. And if you want to learn pivot backstabs, just like mid-air cat ring swaps, you just have to just throw yourself into it and whiff a bunch and get your ass beat a bunch and eventually develop the technique. And then it'll be an important part of your repertoire. How many people did you get? I probably got submissions from about 40 people, I would say, ish. I'm not going to be able to get to them all today. I'm probably going to stream for a little bit longer today, and then I'm going to do a follow-up where I'm going to try to get to the other clips. You can keep sending clips in. For the next stream, I'm going to prioritize, though, the folks that have already sent them in but have not been yet featured, and we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and move on to the next clip here. All right, so the very next invasion here is courtesy of Crowned. So let's take a look at Crowned's build here. 139. Okay, so looks like a straight up quality build. Faith is at 11. Is that maybe for Murky or something? I'm thinking that's what that's for. Same with int. I think that's what that's for is for murky. I like the really high vigor. You know, you get the decreasing returns at such a high level of vigor, but even with those decreasing returns, it can still be worthwhile to put the points there, just for survivability's sake. You know, even just going from like, so let's see here, your HP, you look at your unnumbered HP is 1354. Let's take that down to like 36. And then you've obviously got the chain. So 1299 to 1354. So, I mean, obviously only 55 points of HP, but 55 points of HP can be worth it. You know, those are some difficult trade-offs to make. You know, would those 5 points be better spent in Vitality, where you could wear heavier armor and take less damage? And I'm not a build expert. I know a lot of people have thought through these trade-offs, and hopefully some of them are in chat and can weigh in about those things, but I'm not good at that, so I'm not even going to really try. You hope I don't have any of your clips, Slug? Well, if you sent them to me as submissions, I would show them. But if they're just clips you've sent to me in another context, I would not show them here without your permission. Yeah, the life ring boost is a really good point. The fashion deserves a point down. Yeah, Irox, I agree about the survivability. It's just your survivability comes in many forms, right? It can come in the form of, you know, the extra HP or extra vitality to be able to withstand attacks and take less damage. Or it can come in the form, even indirectly, of more damage, so you're fighting for a shorter period of time and taking less damage. And those sorts of trade-offs, again, I'm just not good at. So let's watch some crowned fights. So Crown, it looks like you're rocking like a light roll right here with PK, which is I think can be a really good setup for fighting ganks. It's like walking on a tightrope though. You do a lot more damage, but it's also riskier for you. I'm in constant pain. That's pretty funny. Oh, the UGS tournament just ended? Yeah, I didn't even know about that until just a few days ago. Okay, alright. The co-invader I might recognize. Okay, so co-invasions. One of the first things I usually try to do personally is I try to assess, am I the better player or is my co-invader the better player? And you know, no offense to Crown King, who's an excellent player, but just about anybody that co-invades with G9 is going to be the worst player. I mean, it's just how it is, right? So I would be just looking to support him. That would be like my focus, trying to figure out what he's trying to do, and then try to figure out how I can support him in the execution of that. The other focus I would have is on staying alive, because you know G's so good. As long as he has a good co-invader and that co-invader stays alive, you're probably gonna win, right? So supporting him in whatever he's doing, making sure that if he's getting ganked or he's in trouble, that I come in to try to help him. Don't get in his way. That would be like my thought process going into an invasion like this. And obviously, it doesn't have to be G9. It could be any player that I see is better than I am. Oh man, you almost got that. Nice unlock crossbow play here, Crown. I really like that. I like the approach of, did he just kill somebody? I didn't even see that. Yeah, so I mean, obviously G9's a one-man wrecking crew, so I like the idea of using the crossbow to punish people that he hit with the great bow. And I like kind of hanging back here and not getting in the way of his gun deer. The only thing that I would, let me pause. The only other thing that I would be thinking about here potentially, now you're on a light roll build, so this makes it a bit more treacherous, but I would think about swapping to like Cestus, Persevere, and then run on the other side of the gank so you can sandwich the gank between the two of you, and bleed off some of the pressure. Because if G9's in front of you in a narrow hallway or something, you can't really help him. All you can really do is just kind of stay out of the way. But if you run through and get on the other side, that's sometimes a strategy that I'll use to kind of sandwich the gank in between. Um, yeah, she's really amazing. It's fun to watch him here too from like the third person perspective. I'm just used to seeing him play from his perspective. Ooh. Nice kill there. Yeah, like G9 is just cleaning up there in the middle. That's amazing. You did a great job there, Crown. Like you played really well. I like the crossbow play. I like the way that you were taking advantage of the fact after the chaos that was wrought by the great bow. I like the way that you stayed out of his way as he was going in like his gun to your charges, and just kind of took the support role on. You're a good enough player that I'm sure most of the time when you invade, you're probably the best player if there's a co-invader. So that's an interesting mix-up, and I thought you played that brilliantly. Like I just really excellent execution there. So nice job. Yeah, that's true at the end there with the great hammer, and that's always a difficult decision because in a duel, if you were fighting a great hammer like that, obviously you would try to space it and bait whiffs that you could whiff punish. But in the heat of an invasion, you don't always have the choice to wait like that, and sometimes you have to take some chances. Sometimes you have to swing out of neutral and run the risk that your opponent is also going to swing. And managing those kinds of trade-offs can be difficult. So and especially on a light roll build where you're just going to take metric shit tons of damage, that becomes an even more difficult decision to make. Hey Sabo, what's up, man? Actually, we were just talking about you a little while ago. You're not proud of your easy wins. We were talking about your crossbow. Well, I was talking about your crossbow and how nasty it is. Like, it's so good. Hey G9, what's up, man? Welcome. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. All right. Okay, so this was a player that asked not to be identified. I actually thought this was a pretty good invasion. This is one of the ones I actually watched earlier today. I like waiting on that ball. The host will trigger that ball, but you'll trigger it too as an invader, which is kind of weird, and it'll start rolling. Oh, getting hit blind by the CBV, that's nasty. I like the switch over to the Cestus to get through there safely, at least relatively safely. And now we got a blue coming in. I think backing off is absolutely the right call here. I like how you made the adaptation of starting your swing from further away to avoid trading with this guy. I like the dagger pressure. Dagger pressure against Great Shield users is awesome because they're so used to being able to just stand in somebody's face and pressure them and getting pressure for free. And I love kind of how you flip that around. I like the weapon swaps a lot. constantly showing your opponents different looks. Nice roll backstab there. That was very nicely done. And I remember, too, from watching this host that he just spams the CBV and fighting against a couple players while somebody's throwing CBVs at your back. That was an unfortunate panic roll. And actually, I want to talk about this for a minute here. I'm going to pause this clip because a couple of people have asked me about this. So especially on PC, doesn't happen to me very often on PS4, but maybe on PS5 it does with the higher frame rate, but you'll run into the problem of queued rolls. So if you try to roll right at the last second against an attack, you won't roll in time, but it will cue the action so that when you come out of hit stun, you will roll. So it's just like a panic roll. And so you'll end up getting roll caught, and especially when you didn't mean to, it's really frustrating. Now, I've been told, though I have not actually done this myself, that if you hold circle down on wake, you will sprint instead of the queued roll firing off. So that's something to keep in mind if you're running into the queued roll problem a lot. Give that a try. Try holding down circle on wake and trying to sprint out. Hey, big boy Ishi. Yeah, queued rolls do happen on PS4. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to suggest that they don't. I just, in my experience, they happen much more often on PC. They don't happen to me very often on PS4, but it was one of the first things I noticed actually when I went to PC is it started happening to me a lot more than it ever happened to me on PS4. Yeah, the queued rolls can be frustrating. Unfortunately, they don't happen quite often enough to me where I've ever spent the time to get the muscle memory of when I think maybe I have a queued roll of holding down circle. But it is definitely something that it's feedback that I've gotten from other players. So hopefully that helps some of you guys. Yes, the queued rolls against curve sword, man. That is exactly what happens. That's when they become a really big risk. Exactly. That's exactly right, CRISPR. Queued rolls usually happen when you fail a reaction roll. You're just a little bit late. And over time, if you're like not experienced with them, you'll learn to start identifying when you think you might have queued one up. And it anyway, it's just really annoying. Bonk also bullies queued up rolls. Yes. Bonk is fantastic at punishing those, especially if like you're block canceling. Another very nicely executed roll BS. I think I mentioned this earlier against better players, not necessarily ones with a great hammer, but they will start reversing stabs on you if you become too predictable with your roll backstabs. So you have to just know your opponents, right? Random blues here in the catacombs, are they likely to reverse a roll stab on you? Probably not. But as the quality of your opponents increases, it becomes more likely. And now we get a blue, and I think that's Karthus. I think it's the Karthus Curve Sword. Nice staggered R1s there. I like that. That almost looked like it was block canceled as well. Very nice. Really nice roll stab there, just off the edge of your opponent's shoulder. That was really nice. Excellent positioning. I think it was also smart to get out of there. Your swaps are really fast. Really nice ring swaps, weapon swaps. Again, this player has not to be identified, but this player is on point. Nice swap. Nice barehanded parry. A nice read to know that the guy with the Karthus Curve Sword was going to swing. I too would have gone for the backstab there. Really surprised to see that you got the backstab there. Usually when you have to move to get it, you won't get it, but he might have been out of stamina. And the host died somehow, not sure how. Nice job, though. That was really nicely done. That was kind of like a textbook invasion. Really well played. All right, guys. I think I'm going to do one more for today, and then the rest are going to have to wait for probably the next stream. Okay, so this last one here is from somebody that said, I'm not a new player, but I've been out of DS3 invasions for a couple years. Lothric has changed since I was last year. Yes, it has. This clip is a bit old. You can tell because I'm still using Watchdog, but it shows two things I've had a hard time adjusting to: co-invasions and queued rolls, just like we were talking about. Okay, I know that I should try to flank with the other red to avoid friendly fire, but is there anything I could be doing to help them more actively? Dried finger worlds weren't as common when I played before, so I'm not as used to teamwork. Also, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do during hit stun to cancel a late roll attempt? It ends up getting me killed at the end. Yep. Okay, this is just what we were talking about, the queued roll management. So let's go ahead and take a look. And you said we had a fight during that same invasion session, and you didn't record it. Did you invade me? Did I invade you? Like, what happened there? I don't know if you want to identify yourself in chat, but Frost, I am still taking more submissions. Definitely keep them coming. Like I said, I will prioritize the folks that have already sent them in for the next stream. But yeah, honestly, I'm having fun. So I hope you guys are too. I'd love to do more of these. Yeah, like right there, going for the roll backstab, I probably would not have done that because of the distance between you and your opponent. But if you're learning, if you're just now learning how to roll BS, then I would advise continuing to do that just for the practice. Okay, a lot happened there. I want to go back here. So let me stop for a second. So regarding the roll backstab that you whiff here in just a second, if you have to move after the roll, you're probably not going to get it unless it's against, you've got a really good connection and maybe the player has like a really heavy weapon or they're out of stamina. If you have to move you like that, you probably won't get the BS. But if you're new to roll stabs, and I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, then you kind of have to figure out where that dividing line is between when you can get it and when you can't. And the only way to really do that is just keep messing them up and get some, and then you'll start to learn in which circumstances you're likely to get it, and you'll have a general idea of like, oh, in this situation I'll get it with like 70% success rate, and then you can kind of make a decision about whether you want to take the risk or not and what the payoff is, etc. But the point I'm making is there's no way to learn that without like just making a bunch of mistakes first, and so that's just what you have to do. You fought an Amish clone? I didn't even know there were Amish clones around. You sent the clip? Okay, all right, I'll take a look. Okay, so obviously you got surprised by the host and his crew. The blue was out there, which probably made you think that the host was out there. Now, you didn't have eyes on him. And when you come into a new world and you do not have eyes on the host, you always want to use extra caution because you have to be worried about exactly a situation like this where you get ambushed. So right there, I don't know what your thought process was behind that R1. Obviously the host was able to outspace it, and now you've let the gank get that much closer to you at low health. A turn and burn can be a good way to get a crew off of you, but even if you had been successful at that turn and burn, it would not have slowed the blue in the back nor the sunbro, and you just let them get that much closer to you while you take the time for that R1. You're at less than half health here. You just showed up. You've got a full whack of Estus. This is, in my view, not the time to be taking chances like that. What I would probably do is two-hand the Black Knight Greatsword, and then you can use Perseverance to heal if you can't get away. But I would be in total evasion mode at this point so you can get off and get a heal. Okay, and right here, this is a problem that I have sometimes. You need to work on getting the camera rotated as quickly as you can because right now you're kind of flying blind. You're at low health. You've got 3 players behind you. They're going to be attacking you with a mix of timings. So you can't hope to just kind of like time your way out of this unless you can actually see where they are. And right there, like that heal, I would say is ill-advised. You're under way too much pressure to get a heal like that off. Now, if you were at like low level and you were only up against one opponent, you could have chanced the heal, knowing that as long as you get the heal off, they won't out damage the heal. But here at these higher levels and with three opponents, you can't afford to take a chance like that. So your best bet would have been to turn your camera and then sprint further into the level. And then this gank then has a choice to make. Do they follow, in which case now they're aggroing PvE, or do they let you get away, in which case you can heal back up in safety and comfort? You can swap to the Estus ring, gives you a lot more choices. But I think you have another go at the same crew here in just a second. Someone told me to ask you if you were really Amish. No, I am not. And actually, I was thinking about talking about the backstory of my username and where that came from. Might be Bob. What is up, man? It's good to see you. I have not seen you in quite a while. Are you going to be around for Elden Ring, Bob? I don't mean to put you on the spot. This time you got wise and waited for a co-invader. You know, you can still go find the gank and maybe like pressure him from a distance. You can shoot great bow shots, crossbow. One thing that I personally like to do in these situations, if I know like it's a stronger gank, I'll put on the obscuring ring just so I can find them before they find me, so I don't have to worry about getting. Oh, you've already got the obscuring ring on. Good looking out. Oh, and you put chapter markers on here. Bless you. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. All right, so there's your co-invader. Skipping ahead here a little bit. That's so like 2016 flashing your ring. You know what? I don't think I've ever seen this before, that you can like climb up on that pile of books and see over. That's an interesting tip. I never realized you could do that. Untrue Dark Ring abusers, in my experience, usually tend to be above average players. Yeah, unfortunately, your co-invaders hit you a couple times. That's really regrettable. Yeah, there's time for gestures. You just obviously, yeah, you don't want to make a mistake like that. Careful blocking great swords. How much damage did he just do to you? Oh my god. Did that seem like cheating to anybody, or is that just like a soul level difference? Like right here, watch how much damage he takes from this one R1 from the blue. And that's not thrust, that's not a counter hit. I mean, that looks like 400, 500 HP on one R1. There's a glaive behind, it was another hit. Oh, okay, I missed the glaive. Okay, okay. All right. Hey, Amir, what's up, man? I see. Okay, I see. Okay, Okay, that was a smart purse right there to avoid the charge. Yep. Get rid of the obscuring ring. Obscuring ring isn't doing anything for you right now. Oh, and I like that third R1. Like, I see a lot of people now, this greatsword doesn't have like a poke R2. But I see a lot of people, they'll go for like R1, R1, R2 with a greatsword. And while that can be a great combo on a straight sword, in my view, R2s on greatswords, they're not good for roll catching like that. They're good as a spacing tool, but I would never use one as a roll catching tool. You're better off just swinging a third time. Like the third R1 on a greatsword often will get you a natural roll catch or going for some kind of mix up. Same advice I gave others earlier. Nice finish there, nice finish. If you have like an off stock or something like that, use the L1 waggles. I'm telling you, once you start using them, you will never know how you lived without them. You can force predictable panic rolls that you can roll catch and then put people under even more pressure, and people will just melt. Like there's very, very few players that can actually withstand that type of pressure. They're almost always duelists or people that duel somewhat because that's about the only time they're going to encounter it. So I hate to see a co-invader again with homing soul mask, but I guess I can forgive it because he may not have known you were there. Nice punish. I like that whiff punish on the backstab attempt. Okay, so when I have an opponent that's using purse, one of the first things I'm looking to see is, are they going to purse when I run up? Because if so, you can just run up and get a BS. And you also notice this guy's using predictable roll catch time. That was a queued roll right there. Maybe another queued roll, yep. If somebody's, now obviously, let me pause it. Setting aside the problem of the queued roll for a moment. If somebody's going for predictable roll catches like that and you've got an S stock out, hard swap it over to a rapier, and then if you happen to get hit, they're going to go for a predictable roll catch and you can parry. And that's a really easy thing to parry. And it's also a reminder, if you invade, you got to mix up your roll catches. When I get parried, that's often one of the reasons why, because I start getting too roll catch hungry, and then it makes me predictable and I get punished for it. It's so level 71 plus 8. Yeah, sorry, I should have shown the build off first. No matter when you R2 with 2 R1s with a greatsword, you will not get a roll catch if they panic roll away. Really, Amir? Like, even if they're in range? Are you saying that because they're too far away? Or are you saying that because something with the active frames in the R2 means they won't get roll caught? And yeah, Frost, the L1 waggle with the off stock is so good. I'm telling you, once you start using it, you will never ever go back to not using it. It's so amazing. You're not at the point of doing hard swaps that fast yet. Well, that's fair, but you don't even have to do it like right in the heat of battle, right? You can retreat a little bit and hard swap. And the nice thing about it is, if this works even best against good opponents who will see the S stock and know you can't parry with it, and they won't see the swap over to the rapier unless they're like specifically looking for it, which most people will not be. It won't be okay. So Amir, you're saying it won't be fast enough even if they immediately roll, no matter once you swing. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So R2s on claymores and stuff, don't use them like for combos. Use them as spacing tools. I think that's kind of the lesson. Hey, Pinko, what's up, man? This is anti-rapier propaganda. Hey, I just advised somebody to swap to the rapier. So I'll give the rapier its love. I wouldn't use it as a primary because I want to win. This intellectual. A jump attack after 2 R1s can roll catch. That is true, and that could be an occasional interesting mix-up, but you would only want to use it once in a very great while, and only if you're really sure they're going to roll away, because if the person decides to reaction roll and you jump attack, that becomes a very easy roll backstab. So that's pretty risky to me, but I could see it making sense in certain circumstances. If you charge your R2s right, you can get the roll catch with great swords. Yeah, I think what Amir's saying is if they're rolling straight away from you, the R2 is too slow to get it. But if they are rolling like around you, then I think what Amir's saying is you could conceivably get it there. I don't want to speak for you, Amir, but I think that's what you're saying. Rapier and fashion ring. Seriously, that's like two strikes already, Pinko. Rapier's a worse Crow Quills. Yeah, but to me, Crow Quills is a worse S stock, at least in the offhand. Yeah, see, now everybody's talking about Pinko in chat. In fact, I've already gotten like 15 direct messages, Pinko, just like in the last 10 seconds, people saying how they can't believe I let you into chat. Yeah, unlimited tracking up until the last attack frame. That is a really good point too, Amir. The R2, especially if you think somebody's going to be fishing for a backstab, like if you are in R1 into somebody's like BKS and you pause, a lot of players will run for a backstab. So your choices are either disengage, go for an R2, which has amazing tracking, and G9's got his video on great swordplay, which goes into this in detail, which if you have not watched it yet, you absolutely should watch it. It's one of the most informative weapon videos ever. And then the other thing you can do is you can unlock the R1 to take it because the standard R1 locked on tracking is bad enough that people can run BSU. But if you unlock it, then you can punish people trying to do that. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can reaction roll catch either, Amir. It's a predictive thing. Unlike straight, like the Lothric Knight Straight Sword, two-handed R2, you can on a reasonable connection reaction roll catch. It's an amazing wake up. If you've seen some of my videos, you've probably seen me go for it, and then a lot of other people do too. In fact, saw G9 playing with two-handed Lothric Knight Straight Sword and just absolutely beasting people with it. It's really, really strong. If you charge the R2, you'll get backstabbed. That is true sometimes. In fact, actually, I was so curious about this problem, big boy, that I actually talked to G9 about this. Because my question was on a two handed like Claymore R2, can you be backstabbed, roll backstabbed? And the answer is yes, but not on reaction. So it involves some prediction on your opponent's part. So that's another reason you need to vary the charge on your Claymore R2s because if your opponent reads that you're going to do a fully charged R2, they can predictive roll it, and then you will get backstabbed and you won't be able to escape because of the recovery frames. Yeah, two-handed Lothric Knight Straight Sword I still think is a slept-on setup. Like, it's so, so good. And the other thing, like, I think Gabri was the one that did this to me. He played with two-handed Lothric Knight Straight Sword. And the thing is, when you start mixing in the charged R2s and then you mix that in with the weapon art, it's very difficult to read on the startup frames which attack it is. And if you guess wrong, you get roll caught and you take tons of damage. Really just a fantastic weapon. Two-handed Lothric Knight Straight Sword is really, really, really good. Is it easier to hard swap on controller than on keyboard and mouse? I don't know. I think it probably depends. Hey, Skullivan, thanks for stopping by. Oh, no, I see. Jenny's taking off. Thanks for stopping by, Jenny. Hey, Mook, what's up? I'm actually probably going to be shutting the stream down here in just a minute, guys. We went through a whole mess of clips. I've got more clips to come. I'm definitely going to do this again. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. Like I said, I will prioritize the clips of folks that have already sent something in, but please feel free to keep sending clips into me. And in the next stream, I think I'll probably we'll get into the rest of them. Hey, no name. Hey, Mercy, what's up? Yeah, thank you. Hey, Rat, what's up? Is this a weekly thing? I don't know that it'll be that frequent. I'll have to see when I get time for the next one, but I'll try to announce it somewhere so that you guys know when I'm going to be doing it. Maybe next Oh, no, actually it won't be next Saturday. In fact, the next 2 weekends are bad for me, so I probably won't be able to pick this up until either if I do it after work during the week, which I know is bad for the folks in Europe, or I'll do it the following weekend, so like the end of July. The next one will be in December. WL is obviously familiar with my streaming schedule. No, I promise I will do it much more. I'll do it sooner than that. You vote weekend. Yeah, weekends are easiest for me, and it's easiest to accommodate all the time zones that everyone's from around the world. So I'll definitely try to do that. Um, all right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and close this off. I think I'm going to go ahead and raid Lance here. So thanks everybody here that came by. I really really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to send you over here to Lance. Thank you guys.
Hey, Amish man. Thank you for the raid, my friend. Welcome, Raiders. Give me a sec.